right, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's get this going. Futures Radio is live, sponsored by mv3trader.com, your source for all things related to the futures market and trading strategies. I'm gonna work on that. All right. Go ahead and get some music going. Getting back into this. It's been a while since I've actually done a futures radio, actually a live futures radio. Trying to get smooth with this. All right, so what we got going on in the market this morning? Let's go ahead and check the calendar. Only thing we had was core retail sales. Then we had some early sell-off. I'm gonna look at it over here. So we didn't really see any real reaction to retail sales. Wasn't really expecting much from that. But overnight we had this peek into our bear zone and then a little bit of retracement. And we had some sell-off that began in our pre-market. So we're continuing to sell from yesterday's drop. Once again, trying to break through that daily support. I have it all marked off here on in Sierra chart, so you can see that this blue line right here is that daily support that I'm keeping my eye on. Actually, no, that's another support level. It's the pink line. Get rid of that. I didn't think that was right. All right, so we're below that daily support that I'm watching. We traded down to another key level, key daily level, around 320. Seeing that's serving as support. A nice little 2 touches on that. We got to bounce into newer highs or to higher highs. So we'll see where we go from here. As of right now, the market is short. It's more selling than there is buying, of course. We'll see where we go after the open. I didn't realize that music was so loud. See what I can do about that. All right. See what's going on in the rest of the market. Same thing with ES. It's a nice little trend there that is somewhat being broken. I'm not going to draw it. I can see it right here. All of the index futures, all the indices are touching support in some sort of way, some daily support, whether that's a trend or if we can draw it as a horror, like whether it's trading in a range. The RTY has been trading in this range, similar to NQ, and we're trading near support. There's a little micro range with YM and ES. They're both touching support of that micro trend. Excuse me. Of course, everything is selling off this morning, to include the euro currencies. A little bit of up and down action. Nice little descending channel there. And I need more screen real estate to see. Make sure everything with the stream is working. Only things we got, only products that has some buying this morning is CL. Nice strong push overnight. Retraced all of that back to the power range high. Caught a bounce off the power range high. Now it's holding this wide range that was created overnight. Still hanging out in this all-time high area. Looks like it made barely made a new all-time high overnight. GC has been range bound for a while. Just kind of chopping around this morning. More so bullish than anything, or more so neutral than anything, but bouncing in between the neutral zone and the bull zone. Let's go back to our beloved NQ. So I'm gonna be trading. Well, usually if I'm going live, I don't really the way that I'm trading now. Well, the plan is not to really be that aggressive. So if I'm going live, I'm not planning on being aggressive. But I had a big loss yesterday, so one of my rules is following a big loss, I have to basically miss a day. So I got it in sell mode just to make sure, keep myself honest. And I'm just gonna be looking at calling out, or looking at the structure, looking at price action, doing a little price action narration. And whatever else hits the dome, whatever else hits the brain. I don't know why I can't talk this morning. Make sure I go back through my morning checklist, my routine checklist. Go ahead and mark off some areas of importance. So it'll be interesting if we do manage to make our way back to the power range. Actually, we got the session high, interestingly, right at that key. My computer's being a little slow because I got so many things running at one time, I'm sure. Yes, I wouldn't want to trade with my PC being this slow anyway. Yeah, so we had that resistance almost, yes, that's really to the tick of that key daily support, or daily previous support, now resistance that I have marked off with that pink line. I don't like how choppy my computer is this morning. Eventually I'm going to need to basically build me like a top of the line gaming computer or something. That was not technical terms at all. You know what I mean? All right. I got my levels marked off. Three minutes to the open. A little less than 3 minutes. About 2 minutes at this point. While I had that there, I should have went ahead and got my screenshot. Put this in the journal. Do I program ASCII? I do not. Haven't put the kind of energy into that to get proficient with that kind of stuff. This last screenshot that y'all won't be able to see, but gotta put some stuff into the journal. All right, ready to go now. All right, we got some buying at the open. Let's see if we catch momentum. We chop around a bit. Would it be surprised by either thing taking place? So I'll be watching the VWAP to see if our size participants are trying to, how many points they're trying to get off the VWAP. Got a response there before VWAP, sort of a front run. You can see our inventory down here below 391 and 3/4. That was actually, look at this the right way. So now we could expect this to be inventory that was a previous supply zone. And I got some extra stuff in here that's still lining up, so I'm gonna keep using it. And the guy drew this pink line, or this pink zone, a couple days ago, if I'm not mistaken. Interestingly, that's sitting right where we have our mechanics and where we saw this participation here. This shows how mechanical our wholesale is. Trading back to our 461 balance, we got a lot of momentum there at the open in the first 3 minutes. Within the first 3 minutes, one more, or 30 seconds to go within that first 3 minute period. Momentum starting to slow down for now. Looks like we caught about 5 points off the VWAP. Starting to see some selling. I will see this as mostly profit taking if I'm going to just look at one side. Also, of course, there will be some shorts here as well, but majority of this I will see as profit taking. We can use that first 3 minute candle as, kind of what's the word that I want to use? Kind of, as our indicator of if we're going to continue continue trading long, or if this is going to turn into a range, or if it breaks below the low of that and we hold, then we can expect some more selling. Caught a few points off VWAP. Now we're back below VWAP, starting to find lower prices that we skipped before on that run. Find some new buyers who are excited off the momentum. Applying pressure to any buyers who caught some Momo. So my charts, let's see. Basically, well, yeah, the first thing you would have to do is watch the power range video to understand my charts. That's the first thing you gotta do, because that's the basis, that's the core of, you know, how I lay everything out in the core of the strategy. So you have to understand the power range, which is these green lines right here, these green dashed lines. And then, so this will be the neutral zone, and below that, the bear zone and the bull zone. And then I basically just look at structure from there. It's not really, it's it's a simple way of just segmenting what, you know, the market is doing. It's looking at structure, and then I have, of course, the volume profiles over here to the right. And there's a lot of other stuff going on inside over here. Basically just using volume. Well, I'm just really zooming in on the 1 minute in this middle screen. Then of course you got your delta down there and daily, different time frames, and over here we have, on the right we have ES, just because I like to watch ES as well. I don't try to, you know, find any, I don't use one to trade the other or anything like that. I just like to see what's going on in the other markets sometimes, or with other products. So back above VWAP, nice little, found new buyers, found some new inventory, found the 1 minute higher high, quick retest of that previous resistance, also where we have our VWAP, previous inventory zone, previous supply zone that we're stalling in right now. Somewhat of a slight continuation pattern on the 1 minute. It's not a perfect one that I would like to see, but we'll see what they do from here. Where do you find what? You mean the power range video? So you just can show you now while I'm, you know, doing this, but just go to my channel, and there's a search box up there. You just type in power range and it should come up. You probably just even type that in YouTube, because I'm the only one that really talks about a power range. You may get that, and you may get my video. You may get if you type in power range, you may get my video and then some Power Ranger stuff. But it's on the channel. It's there. So we look at it from a 3 minute perspective. We can see that we're still catching some momentum, which we shouldn't be surprised by. Back into our power range high. installing at a previous supply zone. So even if I was trading it this morning, if I was actively trading, either I would have waited to the VWAP to make the place a trade, or I wouldn't have traded just off of this, because the way that my strategy and my plan is written out, I would have to look for shorts. So I couldn't take any longs in this, and since I saw that momentum at the open, I would basically be hands off, with the exceptions of this area here, just because there's so many things there. We got supply, inventory, we have some indicators, which I call the mechanics. Then we have balance. And then if we broke above that, which we did, then I'll be waiting for our power range. And typically I like to wait for power range +1, PR +1. Which we also have our some balance level here at, what is that, 553 or 533. We're continuing to trade up. I would definitely be watching our key previous support, our daily support, which is now daily resistance, if we make it back there. Now, for those who don't have my screen and that are definitely looking at structure, if they got in down there if they bought in at these lower prices, they would have this, that previous, or that resistance, that daily resistance, as a target, but they're going to front run that. They're not going to wait for price to trade all the way up to that point, to their target. That just increases the probability that they're going to get filled for profit. Found some resistance there at our PR +1. Back inside the power range. Going to be looking to see if we make a new high within the next couple of minutes, or we create a range up here. Those are the most likely scenarios that I can see, unless our sellers just come in strong and start hitting it. We did that last 1 minute period. We did get a lot of selling, but price didn't move that much. So for me, that tells me that was mostly profit taking. Because if I have a lot of size to push in the market, I'm trying to short here. Depending on how aggressive I want to be. It is a Friday, it is the end of the week, last trading day of the week, which may or may not mean anything, depending on the person who has the size in the market today. Or it's not really, maybe not. It's not necessarily. It doesn't have to necessarily be one person. Just whoever, just let's just call them the seller, right? That can be a group. It can be one person. Just the sellers, right? So if I'm short in that and I have a lot of size, I may want to hit it the first time with a lot of size just to test it, just to see who's ready to play. See how many buyers are still here, and if the bottom, which the bottom up here in this area, since this is like a key level of resistance for today's session. If I'm thinking there's going to be an aggressive buyer here, I've lost my train of thought as I was saying that. But I'm going to hit it short to try to see if we have any more aggressive buyers down there. That's really what I'm trying to do if I'm trying to short there. This is just from the short perspective. From the short perspective with size. And if I start to see a response, I may pull some of those orders and just play this area until I can see if I can exhaust the buyers and then get my short position. And then that's where, that's a lot of times how we see that little battle going on and the price is held in a range. Now in the middle of that, we have our wholesale, which is basically our market makers, and that's what I pay attention to. And sometimes the size participant is the wholesale. So if you're not familiar with wholesale, I do have a document written on wholesale, the way my perspective of wholesale, in the Discord channel. So there's a link in the description to go to join the Discord channel, and there's a document there about wholesale. But I got it from JJ from Futures of a Market Maker. So that's another great source to understand wholesale. We kind of explain it differently, but it's the same concept. He doesn't really watch candlesticks. He looks at TPO charts. All right, so we traded back to that daily resistance. Of course, we can expect to see some immediate selling up there. So now I'm looking to see how far our sellers take us. So far, we've seen a slight battle. I'm watching the range between 556 and the power range low at 489. Our buyer so far doesn't seem to have enough size or aggression to push us higher with momentum, but anything can happen. We didn't get enough selling for there to be a true stop squeeze or short squeeze. And this is all from just my perspective and the way that I'm reading it in the moment. So understand, don't make trading decisions off of what I'm saying, because I could definitely be wrong. Another response off of, let's just call it our key level, just to keep it simple. Interesting, we had some buying that came in there, but according to the order flow, we're finding lower prices off of mostly buying. I'm not even thinking about placing trades this morning because I'm just so many moving pieces while I'm trying to do this live stream. But I would have been, if I was, I would have definitely shorted that 533. What is it? It's 556. That 556 level. Once I saw what I needed to see, of course, following the strategy. All right, so we did find buy participation right below our PR high, potentially turning this into an ascending channel. This little micro period here. On a 3-minute perspective, we did get a print in the last 3-minute period for a reversal. Pretty much our power range is serving as inventory, so we're trading back to inventory. I'm looking at the mechanics at the PR low. Quick tug of war, price action, a price that printed for a trigger, for a potential trigger long. So there is the trigger, and I've been, well, no, I can't. Yeah, I can, because I'm back inside power range. I wasn't thinking to mark off my triggers. And basically between our 533 balance level and at 556, I'm seeing that as a supply zone. So we got inventory in the power range, and we can really just call that PR plus 1 to PR plus 2 as our supply. So far, they're printing into a lower high. So far our range scenario is playing out. This is our, saying this is wholesale. And at this area, really, I'm just watching the highs and the lows. I'm not really paying attention to all the noise that's happening in the middle. So in the middle, in between our supply and inventory zones, that's, to me, that's just noise. I would not be a participant. I'm just be more so looking to trade the edges of this range. Watching the edges of the range, seeing what kind of response we get. then make a decision if I want to be a participant in that. Sell response. Back inside the noise. The window is closing. This means that our range is starting to tighten a little. We're getting quicker responses. Now, they don't have to hold this. They can play around with price. So what we're doing here is wholesale. It's collecting inventory. And then basically from there, what I do is I just wait to see once they're done with their wholesale range. Once they're done with the range, where do they want to take price? Do not try to anticipate it. It's kind of how I got in trouble yesterday. I did try to anticipate instead of just trusting what wholesale was showing us. All right, so back inside of our daily range. Let's see if we hold. Get another sell response. Also, another way to look at that is we did see some sellers short that key level, our key daily level. So if they're, depending on how much size, they can be getting squeezed here. You know, once I look at that on the 3-minute, I don't see a lot of volume there. So that's a nice push back inside of our daily zone. Some of that squeeze could have also been from shorts that are holding a longer position, or stops from shorts that are holding a longer position. Now we haven't retested it yet, so I would definitely expect a retest of our daily, or of our key level. Like I said before, I'm going to just keep it simple and call it the key level, but I keep wanting to over-explain it. And there's that power range video in the chat. Alright, so we stalled at PR plus 3. Let's see if we get the retest of 556 to the 556 area. do have volume here. Basically at 577. I've been trying out some new music this morning. This is kind of getting old, so let me see if I can change this. So while I was doing that, we did get our retest. Caught some momentum through the retest, but our algo is present. Got a nice mechanical response off the mechanics. Very interesting 1 minute pattern there. 1 minute print in the last 4 to 5 minutes. So that happened with momentum. So it wouldn't be surprising if it did push lower. But we are seeing our buyers step in, some buyer participation step in here. Kind of explain that, what I mean by buy participation. That doesn't necessarily mean long. That could be buy to cover from our shorts, as well as buy to go long. All I'm saying is buying based off of where we're trading and how price is responding to this area. Briefly peeked into a new session high, but we're back into our session range with momentum. So our wholesale just expanded the range to dump supply. Caught some bulls long. I said that right. Caught some bulls long. Trapped them up there. Increase the supply. Now let's just dump it. Well, increase inventory to dump supply. Back to our PR low. It's at 9:45. I guess it depends on which time frame you're looking at, but I would see just break it. So kind of how I explained it, where we broke into that daily range. Trying to see what happened at 9:45 on my charts, but yeah, I guess it depends on what time frame you're looking at. But yeah, I would see that like this here as liquidity grab. So if that's what you're talking about, then yeah. Back to the mechanics. Seeing a seller response at the mechanics. We are pushing through it, or making an attempt to push through it. It could just be expanding to get as many points off of that as they can. At this point, I'm not putting, based off how we traded before, I'm not putting a lot of weight into my horizontal lines. It's kind of a light blue there, which is my balance level. We're kind of holding price in that little range there, that little zone. So I'm mostly looking at the mechanics up here. So far the mechanics is holding at 540. That the last two 1 minutes printed as a continuation. There's a break of that continuation. Do we continue, or does that turn into a slingshot? Quick response off of our key level, back inside the range. Last 1 minute printed for a reversal. They're not done buying. And a funny way to look at it, understanding what took us here, the more buying we see here, the more it increases the momentum short, if that makes sense. You're doing this at work. It's hard for me to focus trying to do the, on the market while I'm at work. Still seeing a buy response off our key level. Just a note to self, if I would have shorted that, I would have been out right there off the mechanics. Now I'm watching to see if we get a release off of our slingshot. And our buyers are still there. Picking up some inventory. Back to just watching the edges. Don't really care what happens in between. Once again, we're going to try to jump back into that our daily. I'm calling it what I call it a Q4 range. All right, so we're back up here in our Q4 range. My brain is starting to finally wake up as I'm remembering my terms. Watching to see if we hold. Right back inside of our session range. Definitely not the market conditions to be a breakout trader in my personal opinion. The way that they're moving price around, you to catch the breakouts, you have to hold a lot of risk, and so far the typical breakouts are not working out, even though we did have some what does everybody call those flag patterns or whatever that happened or that worked out at the beginning or in our opening session, our opening range. I just this hour went by pretty quickly. I didn't realize it was already 10:13. Which is my perspective. Sometimes I feel like time is flying, and then like if I'm in another trading room or another chat or something, and the price is moving kind of like this, I hear traders express how slow things are moving. So it's all a matter of perspective. So that the key to that is, if you see something a certain way, be careful about letting other people talk you out of how you see the market, because they could be talking you out of your edge. You gotta remember, when people are talking about, when you're on the internet and you're in these rooms and you're watching YouTube videos, including myself, because I even get caught up in it sometimes, even though I try to be aware of it. And you only have your perspective. So a lot of people give advice, and they're giving advice. What they're doing is they're projecting their own beliefs and their own opinions. Now that's great for getting getting the benefit of other people's experience. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you have to trust yourself, because your edge is within you. It's not, no one else is going to give you your edge. You have to find it within yourself. But you can use the experience of other people to help you, uncover your edge. That's another topic that deserves a whole nother video, or at least an article or something, because it gets kind of deep. It's a spiritual journey. All right, so we finally broke below that inventory, but right back inside. So again, if you're trying to be a breakout trader, you'll be feeling the pressure right now. And I think this is something important to understand, like the typical ways that people like to trade, whether that's retail, whether that's an institution, whatever, doesn't matter. If you're in this game long enough, you discover the typical ways that people like to trade. And I think it's important to understand that, so that you can understand the sentiment when price is moving around. It can could help you make better decisions. And really what you're trying to do is you're trying to see the big picture. So I look at structure, and then I just have the typical stuff in the back of my mind, because the way that I started learning how to trade was through YouTube videos, a couple articles, but mostly YouTube videos. So at a certain point, I realized that pretty much everybody talks about the same thing, and really you can starting to get into personal opinion here, but really you can get a lot of that if you read the book Market Wizards. So I didn't finish the book Market Wizards, and there's different, I think they made newer versions, and there's the new Market Wizards or whatever, but the original Market Wizards, a lot of that stuff in there you hear through courses that people make today, and the information that people on the internet, social media, all that stuff that they talk about as like just the key principles of good trading. So once again, peeked into our Q4 range. Eventually we're gonna break out of this, and the longer we stay here, the more drastic I can see that being. But at the same time, it is Friday, so the move may not be so drastic if we do break outside of this range. I've also seen on days like this where eventually they hold the range, but since we did have so much momentum at the open, I don't see it as being a completely range bound day or an inside. It could be an inside day because yesterday's candlestick was so big. Yesterday's price movement was so big, we could still end up in an inside day even if we trend a little bit. So we can get some more movement if we trade short. Again, I gotta keep saying this. If we go back inside of our session range, if we break the low, let's just say we break the power range high, and we start trading low. So now we had a lot of shorts. So I'm gonna come back to that idea later, because it doesn't. We got some action right now. So we had a lot of shorts hitting us. So now got a nice little stop run from all of those that participants that tried to go short. So let's see if we can hold this time. Back into our created a new session high. Traded to balance, finding some sell resistance or some sell participation. Sell resistance is kind of redundant. First area I'm looking at is 570. If we make it back down there, that's just a structural area, structural location. I don't even think we have that much volume there, but we can build volume there. Kind of pushing through that. We saw a quick sell response and then a buy response. So this is a quick little micro battle here. Back to our key level. Buyers are attempting to absorb. How aggressive do our seller want to get here? The energy that pushed us back into to our key level did not happen on a lot of volume. It didn't happen on much volume. Mechanical response. But we are continuing to find lower prices back inside of our session range. And if you just focused on the edges, you could have found some really good trades in all of this. Again, that's a note to self. But on that note, is that I am beyond my trading window, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Possible trigger right there. It's long. We are seeing some order flow, but we're getting a sell response as soon as we get to where I will be looking to see a trigger. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up right here. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Hope everybody have a good rest of the day. Have a good weekend. And I'll see you on the next one. Trade it easy.